What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 90210 Faux Show, and I am your host, Eric Pennell. This is my third episode that I've done on 90210, and just to be clear, I don't think I've said this yet. This is just a podcast on 90210 from the 90s to the year 2000. I'm pretty sure it ended in 2000. I did not do a podcast on 90210 after those years. Somebody else could do that. That's not really my thing. I didn't watch really those episodes. I put my eyes on it a few minutes, but it didn't really grip me like the 90s to the 2000 90210 gripped me, with the very beautiful Donna Martin and Kelly Taylor and Brenda Walsh and Valerie Malone and Andrea Zuckerman and the very beautiful Dylan McKay. Okay, let's Brandon and Brenda Walsh. All right, and Steve Sanders, David Silver. Okay, Noah Hunter of Hunter Oil, and I can continue to go on, but I won't do that. I already started annoying myself. Guys, I've already done 2 episodes. If you haven't seen that, please check that out. It was the first 2 episodes. Class of Beverly Hills. That was my first one. Bear with me on the first one. It's kind of weird talking to yourself about I'm a 41-year-old man in my basement with a German Shepherd, 3-year-old German Shepherd breathing heavy on my second step over here. So it's kind of odd when I first did the first episode. I'm just kind of running through it. I'm starting to get my legs under me slowly, so just bear with me. It's just kind of me breaking down 90210. But the first episode, Class of Beverly Hills, was the first episode. And then the second episode, pretty good. I mean, the first episode of 90210 was pretty good. It was a 2-hour long episode is how I seen it. And I'm pretty sure it was 2 hours long. I'm not sure if it was just an edited version. And then the second episode was called The Green Room. Now, that's the episode that introduced Dylan McKay. Because if anybody watches 90210, Dylan McKay was not in the first episode. They waited to the second episode to unveil that hot piece of ass Dylan McKay, right? So cool. Dylan McKay, very cool dude. First of all, drives a kick-ass Porsche, vintage, all right? The dude surfs, okay? He reads poetry, all right? He's got those beautiful eyes, and he looks like a bad boy. And he has no problem sticking up for folks that are getting bullied, aka Scott in the science or computer lab. I was trying to guess where they were at, and Dylan was sticking up for Scott in that computer lab with the bullies. And Dylan's a bad boy. He's you could tell instantly with Dylan that he's a rich kid. He lives in a hotel. You think he's got the world, but the kid's troubled, okay? So if you didn't hear those episodes, please, the first 2 episodes are already on YouTube, and you can check that out. Let's get into this. This is the 3rd episode. It's a good episode. I think this is a good episode. It's called Every Dream Has Its Price, okay? This episode, I feel like it definitely highlights Brenda Walsh. It kind of highlights Cindy Walsh of what they're going through, of how they're, I can tell in these early episodes, it's really showing the growing pains. Well, it's the growing pains of all these characters in a way, because at first you're just thinking, oh, it's just a life, getting through life, and with Brandon and Brenda Walsh. But then obviously it's showing the other young rich kids that they got issues too, and they're just trying to get through life also, so you're like, oh wow, rich people have problems too. Who fucking knew, right? They probably don't got problems like I got, where my wife's like, you didn't pay the water bill. I'm like, how much is it? $40. I'm like, okay, I'll pay it tomorrow. I forgot, it slipped my mind. Well, I don't like it slipping your mind, right? I'm sure the rich people didn't have that at Beverly Hills High, right? $40 Chicago water bills. Anyways, so it shows that people are they all have their issues, and so I feel like this is more about Brenda this episode, and let's get it started. I like to walk through the whole episode, okay, guys? So I do like how the Walshes. First of all, the Walshes have a good family. That's one thing they're trying to show you in these early episodes, that they do have a good family. And Jim Walsh, which is an excellent accountant in Beverly Hills that he's just transferred with, I assume, his company. And Cindy Walsh, which is a great mom. I mean, in this episode, it kind of shows who Cindy Walsh is. And I never really paid attention to these as I was watching them. Maybe because I was just paying attention to those hot pieces of asses like Kelly Taylor, right? Kelly Taylor, man, right out of the gates. But it shows, this episode, it shows how good of a mom that Cindy Walsh is, and I wonder if it's kind of highlighting their Midwest their Midwest values. I'm not sure. What. Maybe I'm looking into it too much because I'm a Midwestern guy. So the episode starts out with Brenda trying on clothing, right? Because I mean, obviously, to a young lady, maybe going to West Beverly High. It's West Beverly High, okay, everybody. And she's in a mirror, and I can tell that she's worried about her clothes, and she's kind of commenting on her clothes. And I feel like this episode started off with her trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? And then it starts out. One thing I did notice on this episode, every dream has its price. I do notice that the kids, Brandon and now Brenda, as they go to school, they have a different car. Because from the pilot, the first episode, Class of Beverly Hills, they had a Chevette. And it was kind of like a newer Chevette, but their car that they're driving, they're outside, and they're getting in almost like an old Thunderbird or an old Cougar, okay? And I know this because my mom had an old Thunderbird and an old Cougar. They're big as fuck. They're just, it looks like, I mean, it looks like something that's like a mobbed up bookie that's like not doing well in life. That's what my car looked like, and that's what Brandon and Brenda Walsh's car that they're driving episode 3 to high school in Beverly Hills High in. And so it shows Cindy Walsh out in the yard planting flowers. And out of nowhere, there's a housekeeper that does not speak Spanish, just shows up, and Cindy's like, yeah, I don't speak Spanish. What are you doing here? In a nice Cindy Walsh way. I'm not, nothing inappropriate. And Cindy's like, oh, okay. So then I guess, so then Brenda goes to school, right? And then she sees Kelly being real friendly at the locker with this woman you've never seen yet, this young lady. And her name is Tiffany, okay? All right, so Tiffany and Kelly, you could tell they got like a bond. You could definitely tell that they got a bond. And Brenda's peeping it like, hey, what's going up over there, right? Like, what's going up over there? Comes to find out, Kelly and Tiffany Morgan are old friends, right? And Brenda's just trying to fit in there, you know? And she's not really have too much Kelly and Brenda interaction in the first episode. So then you see that cuts to where Cindy Walsh calls her husband and goes, hey, what's going on over there? There's a housekeeper here that's not speaking Spanish, do we hire her? And then Jim goes, look, I know somebody that her cousin needed or something, a relative needed a job, and she needs help, so yeah, we need that. And Cindy's just like, I've never had a housekeeper. I mean, what's going on? I mean, we had it like maybe once or twice here and there, right? So I see what they're doing here. With Cindy, she's having some growing pains of like maybe the lifestyle that they have out here, where she's like, look, this is even getting too Hollywood for Cindy, you know. And you would think they wouldn't even highlight that with the mother, but I guess they were doing that with the mother, right? So I like how these high school kids. First of all, these high school kids, they're trying to make you feel, I assume, as you're watching this, that these high school kids, because when you see them in between classes, they're like, hey, you want to go for lunch? We're going to go surfing. Hey, you want to go shopping? Because that's what they do. So Tiffany Morgan, Kelly Taylor, Brenda Walsh, and a couple that I don't even know. I don't think they ever highlighted their names as of this point. And they all kind of leave to go shopping, right? And Tiffany Morgan, she does say, hey, Brenda, you want to come? And they kind of come and they go shopping, right? And that's where the first time this is one of the moral stories that 90210 always would have every episode. All right, this episode, episode 3 actually has 2 moral stories. I'll get to the first one, which Tiffany Morgan is she's a shoplifter, all right? And she's a rich girl. She doesn't have to shoplift, but she's a shoplifter. So that's kind of like the story of like the kids are kind of learning their way of shoplifting. How that's like the story that the Walsh kids are learning, you know? And also you learn about like, why would a rich kid that has every credit card in her wallet want to shoplift? Because she's just kind of, giving a FU to her family, I assume, right? So that's what it's showing. And then also the other moral, I'll get to a little bit later here. But Brandon, during this shoplifting scene right here, they cut to where Brandon's, I don't know if he's at a job fair or something like that, but he gets a job with a local restaurant. And he's all happy because, Brandon, he's just a flat out good guy. And these guys are just so lucky to have Brandon Walsh even working for him. They don't even know yet, So Brandon gets a job at a restaurant, and that would be the future moral part to the storyline here. And which is pretty good, right? Because a lot of shows, they don't even, I mean, it was pretty obvious when they would do these moral things like, like homeless and they got a dog or something like that. And they're like, we got to help this homeless guy. It's Christmas time and, whatever like that. So cut to a couple scenes later. Tiffany Morgan, Brenda start hanging out. They go to the store, right? Guess what they do? Tiffany Morgan shoplifts. All right. And also, Brenda's now with Tiffany at this place where they're shoplifting. And if you remember at the beginning, if you've seen this episode, Brenda was trying on clothes like, I don't got any clothes. I don't got any clothes. And she also was going to Cindy Walsh also at the beginning saying, Mom, I need money for clothes. And Cindy's like, we don't got money for clothes. We don't got any money for that. You just got to make do, whatever. It's basically like the mom and daughter conversation. Well, Tiffany Morgan, Brenda Walsh get caught by the store people. And they say, ha, we got you shoplifters. And then this Tiffany Morgan, she's so savvy. She goes, look, if they hold us in this room more than 10 minutes, we're going to sue them for, holding a prisoner longer than whatever they call it. I don't know. I can't remember what the words were, but she even knew the ins and outs to it, right? And you can tell she's done this before because she wasn't even shook. But old Brenda, old Midwest, Minnesota Brenda was up there just shaking because, Brenda just, she's got a different relationship with her family. So then it shows Jim Walsh and Cindy Walsh just kind of hanging. And then Brandon comes home beat from his crap job that he started this job in a restaurant. Totally unpleasant at this job. If anybody's ever had a job like this where just people are running around, people are miserable, and they're just treating the staff, the management's just treating the staff like crap, Brandon's getting a taste of that. So Jim Walsh picks up the phone because the phone starts ringing. It must be the store. All right, it must be the store, and they say, look, your kid got hit for shoplifting. Come down here and get this fixed up. Jim and Cindy are just like, oh, of course, right? I mean, I love how they answer the phone. Speaking, right? Like, I try to use speaking. Like, they're like, is this Jim Walsh? And he was like, speaking, right? No, not too many people use speaking that much, do they? I try to, I try to. And then Brandon, so the parents are automatically going to at each other, like, once they get off the phone, like, why would you do that? Why would you let her do that? And Brandon goes, hey, guys, don't attack each other. We know Brenda. Brenda made us take back that thing all the way back to, that city that was like an hour away from Minnesota that one time because of this thing. She would never do that. And they were kind of like, yeah, thanks, Brandon, for being like a 16-year-old smarter thinker than us, the Beverly Hills, house owners. And then, so they go down there. And before they get down there, Tiffany Morgan, which is very savvy, okay? And she looks very mature for her age. I mean, if this is supposed to be a sophomore in high school, I'm not sure. Because she has every credit card in the book in her wallet. You could tell how she kind of waved it out there. And talked to one of the store managers or owner and says, look, I come here all the time. I spend a lot of money. Why would I steal this? Take one of these credit cards and pay for this. And I was like, whoa, God, good for you. And Brenda's observing this like, wow, this woman, who is this person? Brenda, and then Brenda, her parents come down, they cut to the scene when they're in the alley, and Jim, definitely upset, okay? Cindy, not even really saying anything. Cindy's just giving the eyes. I mean, Cindy Walsh is just giving the eyes, looking at Jim like a parent. They good acting on. I always thought Jim Walsh was the one that kind of stole the show as later on, but I tell you what, 3 episodes in, Cindy Walsh is really still in the show. I mean, she's flexing skill on acting, I feel like, a little bit here for one of these shows. And Cindy's just giving the eyes, not really saying anything. But definitely, the one thing she is saying with her eyes, she's disappointed. All right? Because Brenda's like, can't we just forget about this? Can't we just forget about this? And then she was like, Mom! And then, Cindy just said a few words like, let's just get home, okay? Right? Brenda's trying to do this straight up kid thing where it's just like, another thing is, now that I watched this, and I was watching this mom and dad and daughter interaction, first of all, Shannon Doherty, a great actress, Brenda Walsh, look, right now, I'm looking at it, Brenda does look too old to even be in high school right now. I mean, she does not look like a high school girl. I've noticed it. Another thing I've noticed about these first couple episodes, especially this episode, I don't know who directed this episode, okay? But I do know one thing about this episode. The lighting is horrible, all right? You can tell they didn't have the budget yet because the lighting, you're seeing shadows throughout the episode. You're seeing some real darkness in the and I know, and in their argument, they could go, well, that's what we're trying to do, man. We're trying to portray that, and that's what happens. That's just kind of like the realness. No, 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 no. You're not going to fool me on that. The lighting, you could tell they did not have the budget yet. They didn't know 90210, even at this point, was going to be the show that it's going to be. I'm sure as I go through these episodes and I break them down, I'll see where you could tell where the money's at and where they kind of threw it. I could probably Google it too, but I'm not that anxious to Google it. All right, I'm just going to play it out. So yeah, pretty good episode. We're over halfway through it right now. I see that Brenda and Kelly are kind of talking on the phone about this Tiffany and what happened, and Kelly's like, yeah, that's who she is or whatever like that. That's kind of like why I didn't really hang with her too much and stuff. And then it also shows how Brandon and Kelly still, or Brandon and Brenda have, Brandon and Kelly. Ooh, don't even let me jump ahead, okay? Brandon and Kelly, hot, cold, hot, cold. But Brandon and Brenda, how the relationship they have, right? And then Brenda, one thing she brings up the next day, being a little high school girl. First of all, they catch Tiffany Morgan place some stolen items at Brenda's house. And she was like, can I put some things over here? And she was like, yeah, fine. Well, after all this shoplifting thing, the next day, the housekeeper finds all these clothing with tags on it. And Cindy's like, hey, I don't believe you, Brenda. What's going on here? Why do you have them here? It looks like you're getting caught red-handed. And Brenda's like, I didn't do this. Mom, you got to believe me, right? In her total Brenda Walsh way. And then I still think Cindy doesn't really believe her. And then Brenda's like, why do we have a housekeeper? You said we didn't have money. And then Cindy goes, well, we're helping her out, and she needs it more than you need it. Okay, so that's what she says, and you're like, oh wow. So I see what they're saying. I see what they're saying, but it shows the mother-daughter dynamic right here. Cut to the next moral of this episode. They did 2 on this one, and I'm not sure if they always did 2. I bet they did, because as time went on, they were showing different dynamics and stuff like that. But the first lesson that they're trying to teach in this episode. Shoplifting, obviously, not a good idea for teenagers and people to steal, right? Second one, the restaurant that Brandon got hired at, the owner or the manager, real twat, okay? I don't mean to be rude, but real, I kind of believe she's like a real type of person in real life where, yeah, there could be a store owner or a restaurant owner or manager, because I've worked for people like that. I don't want to say their names, but maybe later. But I've worked for people like that when I was younger, where they just treated you like a dog, or they just talked to you like a dog. So it shows the immigrants that are new to this country that work in the kitchen, work in the restaurant, different jobs, and she's treating them like dogs. And then they're talking to Brandon like, yeah, but we don't got many options. This is the only type of jobs we can get. And then also towards the end here, one of the guys that Brandon has became buddies with, as they're folding like silverware or something like that, Brandon's like, I can't believe I do this job for minimum wage. And the guy that works there, that's the immigrant, goes, at least you do minimum wage. We're not even getting paid minimum wage. He goes, what? He goes, that's illegal, right? And then they're like, well, what are you going to do about it, basically? So then it's showing that of how, like, how you're treating illegals, and like how they're, and nothing against that either. I mean, I see what's going on. Brenda goes to Tiffany Morgan's house, says, why do you do this? She got everything. She goes to this house that looks, it's a stunning house. It's ridiculous. And she basically says, Tiffany, you don't have to do this. Like, why are you doing this? You should just ask your parents for attention. And so that's kind of a moral thing too. It's slowly shadowing that these rich kids, their parents are kind of disconnected, right? And then how connected the Walshes are at this point. So as a unit, you're kind of seeing that. That's one of the problems, right? Not all the kids, the rich kids, but obviously Steve Sanders has a different dynamic. Kelly Taylor has a different dynamic. And obviously Dylan has a different dynamic at this point that you've seen from the parents. And so Brandon's at work later on. Dylan shows up, right? Oh, Dylan, he knows what's up for some reason. Dylan is the smarter one out of all these guys. I feel like Dylan's a little bit more lived, right? And he's at the restaurant where Brandon's working, right? And this manager is just really just ball busting, treating Brandon like crap. Brandon basically goes up to her and goes, look, lady, I just found out that you're not paying these guys correctly. I'm an investigative journalist for West Beverly. And she goes, oh, big deal. And he goes, yeah, well, it is going to be a big deal. A lot of parents read the paper. And I'm going to put it in there that you're basically a dog. And you can shove this job, lady, okay? And the lady's like, oh, God, what are you talking about? Well, she really didn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking as I read her face. Brandon sits down for a second. She walks by. Brandon says something rude to her that she said to him earlier. Like, I need those plates here pronto, okay? By the end of millennia or something like that, right? And then Brandon and Dylan say, hey, let's split this popsicle stand, you know? And Dylan goes, okay. And Brandon goes, okay, let's get out of here. So that's basically the episode. The good thing is about this also, once Brandon quits that job, which it's totally, Brandon quit it because of a moral thing. Brandon's a good guy. He doesn't look like a guy that would quit a job like that. And so Dylan takes him to the best food in town, okay? It's some of the best food in town. Guess what? Enter the Peach Pit, okay? Enter the Peach Pit for the first time. He has a fork. He has a peach on it. It looks like it's coming out of a pie. And Brandon's eating a pie, I'm pretty sure, from the Peach Pit. Guess who's at the Peach Pit? Nat, the owner of the Peach Pit. Wow, shows Nat for the first time, right? Nat was in episode 3, so Nat was there he was there from the start. So Nat basically offers Brandon a job, and that's how Brandon, Nat, and the Peach Pit got introduced. It was from Dylan McKay. I really didn't remember that. I didn't remember that at all, and that's what happens. At the end of the episode also, Tiffany Morgan comes on over, says, hey, can I have some of those stolen goods with the tags on them? She goes up and gets them, and or I think she comes and gets them, and then as she's there, she goes, look, you got a good girl, Tiffany does. Brenda had nothing to do with that, and it shows Brenda up in the shadows listening. And that's what I'm telling you, the bad lighting and stuff. And throughout the episode, too. I mean, I just feel like there's some lighting that I don't know. I don't know anything about directing at all, obviously. I mean, but yeah. So it kind of lets Cindy know that, like, look, those stolen clothes that the housekeeper found in Brenda's room, Brenda had nothing to do with it. It was all that girl's. So that does clear her daughter of that. And basically at the end, it shows the Walsh family during breakfast kind of come along. All four of them come out there and they go, look, we're getting some bumps and bruises, but we're a happy family. And that's the Walshes, man. Pretty good episode. I'll give it to this. It's not the 90210 that we normally love yet, but it's coming together. I mean, you could tell that they were building this thing, and it wasn't a complete dog at the beginning, but you could tell how they were kind of going as money goes, comes in more for, that it's going to be a future hit. This episode came out October 18th, 1990. So October 18th, 1990, I think I was probably a sophomore in high school, I think. Yeah. I was a sophomore in high school. And when this came out, that's crazy how far that was. What were you guys doing in October 18th, 1990? Some of you probably weren't even fucking born. Isn't that crazy to think that? You're probably not listening to this podcast if you were. Anyways, guys, every dream has its price. October 18th, 1990, Beverly Hills 90210. You know what? I'm liking how it's shaping up. I like how the writing was there, the characters were there, and they're slowly introducing the characters correctly. They're already putting the morals in there. You're getting a taste of what Beverly Hills 90210 soon would be. Guys, thanks for listening. If you want to listen to another podcast that I do, it's more of a standard podcast of just a couple guys shooting the shit on pop culture. I have another podcast on the Laugh Factory Network. It's called This Is for the Birds with Russ Williamson and Pat Kelly. We've been doing that for 4 years over there. Got plenty of episodes. Please check that out. You can find me on Twitter, Eric J. Pennell, at Twitter and on Instagram. I'm more of an Instagram guy. I'm kind of getting off Twitter. It's just getting a little bit boring for me and it just got too political and I just got a bad taste in my mouth. Instagram, Eric Pennell, 1975. Please share, subscribe. Please tell people about this. If you know somebody that was into 90210 and they kind of like having shit in the background, please tell your friends about this. If not, I completely understand. Guys, it's March 31st, soon to be April 1st, obviously tomorrow. First quarter's done, right? Guys, I hope you have a great day. Let's go get it. Thank you so much. Go 90210.